What's going on, y'all? This is Kerry Wood. Welcome you into another edition of Sports and Swag Soundbytes right here on Spreaker.com and SoundCloud. Also going to be heard on sportsandswagreport.com, which is my website. Thank you for coming in, and let's talk a little bit about some of the teams that have gone fishing over the last few days in the NBA playoffs. Several teams, of course, have done that last night. The Philadelphia 76ers. We'll talk about them in another edition. But tonight, I want to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans and what they have in store for their future. And, of course, how that future, how it comes down with or without DeMarcus Boogie Cousins. Pelicans have made themselves quite an interesting storyline over the last couple of weeks here in the playoffs, man. Really going out sweeping the Portland Trailblazers the way that they did with little to no problem at all. Then, of course, losing in 5 games to the Golden State Warriors. But, you know, I'm about to say program. This franchise has a lot of upside. There's no question about it. It's going to be pretty much, you know, how things are handled in the front office. You know, what can they do as far as free agency is concerned, what they do in the draft. You know, all of that is going to be vitally important, but the most important part, the thing that's going to really tell the story of what we're going to see in New Orleans over the next few years is going to be Boogie. What's going to happen with him? That was just a really terrible injury that he was going through, and we all know that an injury like he has is an injury that can take sometimes even more than a full calendar year to get over. So hopefully he's not going to be in that category. Hopefully he's going to be able to get back sooner than that, and when he gets back, he's going to be the same Boogie that we remember. But if he's not, you know, how do the Pelicans play it? You know, but if he is, are the Pelicans better off without him anyway? I think it's a fair question. A lot of people probably don't think that's even debatable, but I think it is. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Pelicans really, you saw their offense really get off to new heights. You really saw their offense really flow a lot better. They were a lot faster team. They went from being one of the slower teams in the NBA as far as pace to becoming one of the faster teams. We saw that in the playoffs. I mean, these guys, when they get out on the break, with Rajon Rondo leading the way, with Jrue Holiday on one wing, when you look out into Eastwan Moore on the other wing, or then you have Nikola Mirotic being that stretch 4 that everybody covets right now, being able to come up and pull up on a dime and shoot the 3 ball on the fast break or whatever. And then, of course, having Anthony Davis filling in the middle of the floor, devastating, man. When they get it rolling, this team can get it rolling. They just, right now, as they're constructed, they lack a little bit of, coming off the bench. And there's no question about that. They could definitely benefit from, getting a few players to be able to kind of give AD and Rondo and Jrue Holiday a little rest. But when they get it going, man, this is a really formidable basketball team, and they can defend you with Anthony Davis protecting the rim. Jrue Holiday proved to be one of the better perimeter defenders in the NBA this season. We all know what Rondo can do, even though he's getting up in age a little bit. We all know the history of Rajon Rondo from his days in Boston. So I think when you look at this team, man, the future is very bright. But again, you have to wonder how this thing with Boogie is going to play out. And I just think, from my perspective, I just think that you have to. I'm gonna look at it like this, okay? When you're looking at it, the Pelicans being in the Western Conference, going up against, who it's going to be against over the next few years. It's going to be the Golden State Warriors. It's going to be the Houston Rockets. Both those teams, they play pretty much small ball to a certain degree anyway. I mean, yeah, Houston has Clint Capella and Nate coming off the bench, but everything else is, 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", and under. Playing two bigs, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis, to me, I don't think you can do that. I think you can if you're the one dictating pace. If you're, maybe you're a half-court team in more traditional NBA game or whatever, like we used to see back in the 80s and 90s, then maybe yes. But the way the game is played right now, I just don't think you can play two bigs like that. The Pelicans, and this is no knock on Boogie at all. I love Boogie Cousins. This dude can play. He's one of the best big men out there. There's no question about it. At some points, you could argue he's the best big man out there. But playing two bigs, when you're talking about trying to win the Western Conference, man, when you're talking about competing with Golden State, you're talking about competing on the same level with the Houston Rockets. I just don't think playing two bigs is the answer. We've seen the San Antonio Spurs kind of try to do that this season, and it didn't work, man. I still can't understand why San Antonio brought Pau Gasol back. I don't get it. I don't think they would have beaten Golden State even with Kawhi Leonard. That's just me. But and of course, the Spurs have other issues as well. We're gonna get into the Spurs later on the website and on here. We'll talk about them kind of in the same fashion that I'm talking about the Pelicans right now. I just think, man, I don't know what you do with Boogie when he gets back, and you hope, like I say, you hope he comes back 100% full health and is able to have the same type of career that he was having before he went down. But I just don't know that works in New Orleans, because obviously Anthony Davis isn't going anywhere, right? He's not going anywhere, right? So I don't know, but regardless of the fact, you have to be excited if you're a Pelicans fan. That is the best thing you can say, man. Going into this regular season, I don't think anyone knew what to expect out of New Orleans. We all debated on whether or not this thing would work with AD and Boogie. And then, of course, them bringing in Rajon Rondo. How is that going to work? How is Jrue Holiday going to be, him being the two guard? How is that going to work? Actually, Jrue Holiday started out as a starting point guard. There were a lot of questions about this team coming into the season, but I think there are a lot less about them coming out of the season, and that's always a good thing. When you can kind of put a check in the box next to some of those questions, I think you're a lot better off. So we'll see what happens with Rajon Rondo and Jrue Holiday and Etuan Moore and Nikola Mirotic and Anthony Davis and all of those guys coming off the bench that the Pelicans have as well. The future is bright. There's no question about it in New Orleans. Again, I want to thank you for joining me for this Sports and Swag Soundbite. I'd like to know what you think, though. What would you think about the Pelicans, the state of the New Orleans Pelicans right now? Do you think Boogie Cousins and Anthony Davis can coexist together? Do you think that I'm maybe off base in saying that they can't? Or at least, I'm not saying they can't coexist. I'm just saying if you want to chase a championship, I don't think they can coexist together. Do you think I'm wrong in saying that? Let me know about it. Like I say, I'm on social media, at Seawood on Sports on Twitter and IG. At Sports and Swag Report also on Twitter and IG. We're on Facebook. Like the Facebook page, Sports and Swag Report. Again, always on the website there, sportsandswagreport.com. And of course, we'll always be right back here. We're going to do a lot more of these. We're going to get into the Philadelphia 76ers who went out last night. We're going to get into a couple of other teams. Like I said, the Spurs, we'll talk about them. Talk maybe about the Milwaukee Bucks. Another interesting team is coming into next season will be the Bucks with a guy like the Greek Freak. We're going to get into all of that, man. We're going to talk a lot about that. We'll talk a lot about the conference finals that are coming up starting this weekend. Sunday, Cleveland at Boston. We're going to talk a lot about that. We'll have a lot about that on the website. A little bit of a preview along with the prediction for both of those matchups. Again, I am Kerry Wood at Seawood on Sports. This has been another Sports and Swag Soundbite. Thanks for joining me, and be on the lookout for the next one.